there's a goal at the beginning of every year, and that's to win the Stanley Cup. And you work hard the entire year to build something to put yourself in a position to achieve that goal and reach that accomplishment. And so, by that standard, the season was not successful. It fell short of where we wanted to be. I think that, if I'm being honest, I think that there was a belief that was built through the course of the season, not just with our players, but with everybody that's surrounded by our players, the organization and the fan base. There was a belief that we were going to get this done. And we truly believed that we were going to win the Stanley Cup. And I think you have to have that mindset to give yourself an opportunity to do that, to be successful and to actually win it. And so with that comes a lot of disappointment, a lot of hurt and emptiness in your pit, your stomach, that you didn't get to where you wanted to go. So we didn't accomplish what we wanted to accomplish. There was a lot of positives from this year. There was a lot of good things that came from it, but ultimately, it's disappointing and frustrating for everybody, every New York Ranger fan, the organization, the staff, the coaches, the players. We wanted to get somewhere together. I believe we can get there,
Do you see this season as a really good foundational base, and how do you see this team building off of it?
I can only speak to this year, and it's going to echo a little bit of what I just said. The way that the guys attacked the season, the way that we competed on a daily basis, the success that we had through the regular season, the success that we had through 2 rounds of the playoffs, and heading into the 3rd round, we thought we were going to win. I don't think that changes. I don't believe it changes anybody's belief of what we'll do next year. I think we'll come to training camp and we'll look to pick up exactly where we left off, attack the regular season, put ourselves in a position to qualify for the playoffs, get into the playoffs, and make as much noise as we can.
What is the challenge? Because you've had a couple of teams like this. What is the challenge of starting over, where guys say, looking at it, saying, we have a whole year to get back to where we were?
It feels different to me, Larry. Like, it just feels different. Like, I think if we could go back to work tomorrow, we would. We'd start. I don't know if it's getting looked at that way. With everything that we went through and the mindset that we had going into this, I think guys are not only disappointed but probably angry too, like frustrated and angry that we're not still playing and that it's not us in the finals. We ran into a good team and we didn't win enough games, and so there's more than goes into it. I think the guys want to go back to work. I think they want to. I could be wrong. I don't think so, though. I think we're going to come into training camp and get after it, and then attack the season.
So, in Florida, which they clearly are, the measurements taken East Conference won conference back years, and you went right up against them. It's 5 one-goal games. What's missing? What's the difference? What makes that smaller?
One goal was missing in every game.
How do you get
So,
what makes it smaller?
yeah, I mean, listen, we definitely could have played better. There's things that we could have done where we could have played better in lots of little different areas. The difference was 1 goal. Even in the 3-0 game, the first game, like, it was still a 1-goal game, and we accidentally knocked one in our net. It counts, so it's 2-0, but it was still a 1-goal game. And they were close. They were tight. The difference, was we needed to generate a little bit more. I said that when the night ended, we needed to find another goal in every game.
Is there a style that you have to get to beat a team like that?
I think, again, every team plays the game different. We're not Florida. We don't play like them and how they play the game. We found success doing it our way, and we weren't able to get through them. I don't know if that necessarily means that we don't get through them next year. And every year is different, and the same team doesn't come back and win championship after championship after like new champions are crowned every year. We can get better at our game. We can get better with what we're doing. We'll have young players that continue to grow and gain more responsibility and more impact in the game. But just because we didn't get through Florida this year doesn't mean that we can't get through them next year.
Mark, somebody was talking about how hard it is for him to operate against that team, and he has no space. Are teams like that in the playoffs a particular challenge for a guy like him who does so well in space?
There's no question that there's a reason why they're there. They played well against us. They played defense well against us, and this wasn't something that they did just against us. They were doing it as the season ended. They did it in the first round. They did it in the second round. They did it in this round. They defended well. I believe that our players can find success against a team like Florida. We didn't get it done, so we'll have to be better at it the next time we get an opportunity.
I ask you about Capital. Do you, reviewing his year and talking to him, do you view him as a player who still has the tools that he can be a top 6 winner in this league, when he went back and forth this year?
Yeah, I do. I took my conversation with Capo. I took my responsibility in it as a coach. I didn't find it with him. I think he's a good player that we were all hoping would take another step. And my responsibility as a coach is to unleash these players as well. And you hope that happens with all of them, but some it doesn't. And I've got to figure out a better way to get him involved. I think there's responsibility for him too, and what he brings to the table and what he brings to the game. And next year is a new year. I do think that he has the ability to be a top 6 forward. I do think he has the ability to grow off of what he did last year. And this year was not. It did not probably go the way he wanted it to go, or the way that we wanted it to go. And so I do think that he can be that player, and that's my job, our job, and his job to get that to happen, to make that happen.
Does Bill feel an option for the wing maybe next year, or is he going to go back to center?
We talked about it real quick. I think he's a centerman, but the fact that he, has played wing before, like before we put him on the wing, because we now had filled that spot with Wenberg, and so the majority of it when he came back was on the wing. I think he's a centerman, but he has played wing in the past, and so I think we'll work through that as Chris and I talk. We'll work through that.
In retrospect, I'm sure you all knew it was going to be very difficult, but in retrospect, was it more difficult than we even anticipated, trying to get integrate Phil into the
Yeah.
at this point in
It was a lot of time off that he had, just away from the game, away from training. Then eventually he got back training, and then he came back to us, and it was trying to get him up to speed and trying to put him in positions to be successful. He has been in his career a really good player, and we're hoping that this would be the year where he would take off as well. And that looked like it was going to happen at the start when he was playing with Artemi and Laf. Their line was excellent. Their numbers were excellent, and we were really happy with the way that was going. And then with what happened, the injury, it just kind of unraveled for him. The year did. With all that time off, it's tough to come back. And so, we were just trying to manage it at the end. I think he's a heck of a player. I think that healthy, he could have a major impact on this team. And so we were trying to get him to come back and contribute in some manner.
Peter, outside of with the growth of Lafreniere and the young players, isn't it
Laugh.
Yeah.
He was excellent. He had an excellent year. It started, really right with game one. Again, playing with Artemi is, it's you get a player that's a world-class player, and the line, whether it was Phil or whether it was Vincent in the middle, it was excellent. And his confidence to me grew the entire year. I thought his playoffs were excellent. He was productive. He was physical. He was noticeable. He was an impact player for us. Certainly would like to see that build next year, and as he takes on more responsibility and looks to grow from this year. It was a really, really good year for him, and we're hoping it will be better next year.
Can you see his role expanding?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's capable of more minutes. I think he's capable of more inside of the game, and so he did all of that. He spent hardly any time on that first power play unit. The first power play unit was a top unit the entire year for the most part, and then it was a top unit in the playoffs until the third round. And so definitely there's room for growth with him with regard to his minutes and the areas of the game which he can touch, like the power play.
Peter, we were all obviously aware that Jacob missed time. We saw him out for at the end of the regular season for that stretch of a month or whatever it was. He just kind of revealed more of the specifics of that. Does that factor into the time of that, how that affected him? That layoff going into the playoffs, and maybe how you evaluate what you saw, and how did you evaluate what you saw once he came back?
I thought that he came back, and I think he did an excellent job as a captain. Like, he came in here and our team found success. He plays the game a certain way. He brings physicality and heavy minutes for us. I think when players come back from an injury, I think it takes a minute, and some injuries even more so. And I've mentioned that with other players, whether it be Capo or Adam Fox or whatever it might be. And so there's a period to get back up to speed, and you're working to do that. But I thought he came in and gave us his minutes, his physical, impactful minutes.
Is it some of the folks, like a bunch of guys talk about things that they're dealing with. When you have guys that have helped you get there, been key players for you all season, even if they're somewhat compromised, I'm sure that the last thing you want to do is tell them, hey, something seems off, or we know you're not 100% healthy. Like, what is that like in a playoff grind to deal with those things and keep playing those guys, because those are the guys you've had faith in all season?
Yeah, I mean, those things happen all the time. Like, there's a lot of things that go on inside of a playoff run where guys are banged up, for not just for our team, for any team, and they battle through it. For the most part, these guys battle through it. If it becomes something where I feel like it's affecting the line or the D pair or the team, I think you have to make decisions then as to whether it's best to have them in the lineup. And so those are actually some of the decisions that I had to make during the playoffs, whether for different reasons, but everything was to be for the good of the team and what was best for the team with regard to who's in the lineup and where they play and who they play with.
Peter, you came
We'll
into
go two
a
more.
team that not only had a lot to prove to the league, but to themselves. And Vinny Trocheck said earlier today that this year you guys have molded your identity. And I know it's not the outcome you were hoping for, but is there a magnitude to what this team proved to themselves for next year?
I think our guys are confident in themselves. They know exactly what we did this year. They know how we worked. They know how we went about our business. And I think that they're disappointed and angry. They wanted more. They wanted to go further. That was the mindset. And so, when answering that first question, it's not what we wanted. And so there's nothing we can do about it right now. I just get the sense that we're going to come back. We're going to have a good training camp. It's going to be sharp. And we're going to get back to business. And we've got to take on the regular season. It's there. You've got to go through the regular season. You don't get a pass. You got to play the 82. You got to qualify for the playoffs. But I just get the sense that the guys are ready for that.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for everything. I really appreciate it. Thank you. You too.
Have a great